I'm making this video for all women, all races of women, young girls, teenage girls, men who have women in your lives, or teenage girls or little girls that you care about, that you value, that you want to come home every day. This video is for you. Because had I not done what I did, I'm pretty sure I would have been snatched up and never heard from again. Wow. On the clock. So, and this happened last Friday, and I've still been thinking about it, because I'm just like, that was a very close call, but it was also very scary. So I was on my break, like I am now, waiting to pick up other kids to drop them off at home. And I'm in a big yellow bus. And so I go to Target just to grab something so I wouldn't have to go to the store after I got off work. Now, with me, every time I go to a store, as I'm approaching the parking lot, I always survey the parking lot to see what kind of cars are in the parking lot. And in my mind, I know to always look for a white vans or any type of van. I'm just always like aware to just instantly look for those things. So when I put in, I saw a white van parked. And so where I parked the bus, I was kind of, the white van was across from me. And then like some spaces away from me. And I'm in a bus, so I can't like park very close where all the other cars are, or I might get stuck, or I might hit somebody's car. So I parked there. I get out the bus and start walking towards the door, but I noticed that there was a guy in the van just sitting there. I know it was a black guy because I could tell by his hair. And so I didn't really pay any mind. So I walk into the store, and when I walk to the store, there's a man, another black guy, to my left. He's just sitting on the bench, just sitting there. In my mind, I was like, well, maybe he's waiting for somebody, or maybe he's getting a ride, something. So I went in the store. I was in the store for maybe, I want to say 8 minutes. I went to the checkout. So I come outside, and I noticed there's now 2 men in that white van that was sitting across from me. And so I start walking to the bus, and I see them like moving around in the van, and I see them looking over at me. And so I stopped in place, because something was like, I felt uneasy. And so I stopped in place, and I pretended like I was looking for something in my bag. Then I turned around. And when I turned around, I was surveying like who I could ask to walk me to the bus. And I didn't really see any men come out that were like close enough to me to where I could go and ask them. So I saw this old, they weren't old. It was like a white couple. They may have been in their 60s. And so I went up to them, and I was like, hey, where did you guys park? And so their car was really close to the door. So the guy was like, oh, we're just right here. And he popped the trunk so that I could see like that's where they were parked. And the lady, his wife, was like, why, what's going on? And so I was telling them, well, there's a van parked down there over by my bus, and I'm kind of scared to go there because it's just suspicious. And I was telling them I'm just like very cautious, and so I wanted to see if they could walk to the bus with me. And so the lady was like, oh yeah, she's like, he can walk you. And at first he was like, well, I can barely walk myself, because I think something had happened with his leg. And she's just like, no, go with her. I'll put the bags in. So she takes the bags from him, and he starts walking with me. And this guy was like, he was definitely a taller white guy. He was a little bulky, and he had like mustache, beard. He looked very typically masculine, what I would say. He looked like somebody that somebody wouldn't just go up and randomly mess with. And so we're walking to the bus. And so at first when we were walking, I was on the left side of him. But then I was like, no, let me get in the inside. So I went to the right side of him, and we're walking. And so as we're walking, we're almost to the bus, and the van comes, and it starts slowly moving. But it didn't go straight. It did like a slant. Like, I don't know if I can do it here, but it did like a slant. Instead of going straight, it went a slant towards to where if they were to stop, they would be at the back of where I parked. But the white guy, by that time, when I had hurried up and opened the door, he was on the right side of me. And so when the van did the slant towards the back of the bus, the white guy, he like walked over towards the back of the bus, and he just stood there staring at them. And it was like this authoritative stare, like he just stood there and stared at them. So they drove past, but they were going really slow. And they didn't leave out the parking lot. They went and they parked somewhere else, but they were driving by very slowly. And so by that time, I was in the bus. I had locked the doors, started the bus, getting ready to pull off. And I just waved to the guy and I thanked him. I don't open the door again because I was just too like kind of freaked out. But I waved to him and I thanked him. And as the guy's walking, the white guy, he's walking back to his vehicle, and he's keeping his eyes on this van. Like, he keeps looking over at them to see what they're doing. They did not leave the parking lot. They went and they parked somewhere else. And the one mistake I made was that I didn't call the cops. Something in me said to call the cops, but then I second guessed myself. And I was like, well, what if they don't really take it serious enough to come and investigate? And I wish I had, because I really hope that they were not able to snatch up someone else. I really do. Because my mind drew a blank at the time, and I was so, part of me on the inside was panicked. I was very nervous about what had just happened. And so all I thought to do was to get in the bus and drive. And so as I'm driving back to the school to wait to pick up the kids, a thought came to my mind. That white guy, he actually saved my life. Because had he not walked me to the bus, it would have been easy for those guys to pull over behind the back of my bus and just snatch me in their van and drive off. And I realized, like, and I've been thinking about this since Friday, because it was just so scary, and I couldn't believe that that happened, because this is like, I live in it's like a predominantly white area, and it's generally safe. And so you don't expect to see something like that over in that area. And so I was just rattled. But the one thing I took from that, and it made me even more grateful for that guy. That guy put his life on the line for me. He did not know me from a can of paint. He just saw this 5'3" petite woman walking that comes up to him and telling him that I'm scared and I want to see if they could help me, and he just did it. And his leg was messed up, but he still, like, the act of him saying that he will walk me to my bus because I felt scared And this was daylight, of course, because school was still in. That act was him literally putting his life on the line for me, because he did not know, just like I didn't know, he didn't know if someone was going to jump out that van and do something to him to get to me. And I didn't know that either. But he just did it. And he really put his life on the line for me. And had he not done that, I know I would have been snatched, because the van wasn't that far from me, and all they had to do was speed, park behind me, and just jump out and grab me. And that's why I've been thinking about it since Friday, because it's like, it's surreal. I've had other situations like that where I've been suspicious, but not that close. And so I didn't even get his name. I know he said his wife worked at First Student. I just, if you come across this video, I want to tell you thank you, because I know you saw, just like I saw, that van was very suspicious, and my intuition was not wrong. And I don't know, after I left, if they left the parking lot, or they probably hung around to try to catch somebody else who was by theirself or not. But I just thank you for walking me to the bus, because I knew that something was off. I knew that they were up to something, and I didn't want to take any chances. And if somebody decides or says, oh, you don't know that that's what they were trying to do you really think any woman should proceed to find out if that's what they want? Or do you think women should be very cautious? Because I've watched a lot of videos about sex traffickers. I've read about sex traffickers. I've seen surveillance tapes of sex traffickers snatching up women on recordings, and I was not trying to find out if I was wrong. I know I wasn't wrong. I was 100% right at what they were trying to do, just because of the way everything happened. So we shouldn't have to find out, or we shouldn't have to test to see if our intuition is right. My intuition was right. It was telling me the right thing. Now, what I will say is, after this video, at the end of this video, I am going to insert some vehicles for women, so that anytime you go somewhere, you can be alert. You can be very cautious if you see these particular vehicles. I know there are work vehicles, but sometimes these guys can design their vehicles to look like work vehicles when they're not. So we have to be very careful. Like, women are very valuable. And if women weren't so valuable, you wouldn't have men trying to snatch up random women and teenagers and little girls to make money off of them. So I'm going to insert the pictures. And even if it's, it could be any vehicle, but most often it's these particular vehicles. And then some additional ones that I would say, okay, you could still be cautious. You should still be cautious of that, because you could still be snatched up in other vehicles that are not typically vehicles that sex traffickers grab women and girls in. But something I want to say for women, for teenage girls, especially for little girls. Number one, if you have to go somewhere by yourself, park very close to the doors. Don't park far away, like I did. I parked far away because I had no choice. I was in a big old bus. But I usually try not to park far away when I go to the store. If you're parked far away and you happen to come outside and you see a van parked next to your vehicle, don't go to your vehicle. Go inside and ask somebody who works there to walk you to the door. another thing I want to say is, when you go to any store, a restaurant, whatever, if it's the parking lot full of cars, look out for the vehicles that I'm going to post at the end. Look out for vans. Look to see if you see anyone sitting in those vans. Do not park by any vans. And if you happen to come outside and you see that van maybe parked across from you or parked behind you, don't go to your car. Go inside and get help. If there's not somebody in the store to help you, call the cops. I call the cops. I have no problem calling the cops when I need to. I'm not someone that's for defunding the police and getting rid of the police, because they're sometimes the only protection that women have. Another thing, listen to your intuition. If you walk outside and your intuition is saying, go back in, go get help, go ask somebody to walk you to your car, you should probably listen, because being unaware and just walking out carefree, we don't live in a time where you can just be carefree about where you're going, and the environment you're in. We have to always be aware, because not being aware could cost you your life. If I was not aware last Friday, and if I didn't already have a natural paranoia with me to make me just very cautious, I know I would have been snatched up, and my life would have just been over. Like, what's another one that I could think of? Even if it's two of you, still, don't, if you see a strange van parked next to you, don't go to your van. Have a guy walk you to your vehicle. If it's two of you, let's say you're with your friend, and you're like, girl, something don't feel weird, I don't think we should walk. And your friend's like, girl, no, come on, let's just go. Don't go with her. That might sound bad, but if you are telling your friend something doesn't seem right about a certain vehicle, and she still wants to go, and she's trying to tell you, no, it's okay, let's just go. Either tell her, hey, I'm not going, I'm going to go get somebody to walk us to the car. You can either come with me or you can go by yourself, but I don't feel safe about this vehicle. But don't let a friend manipulate you out of being cautious. Manipulate you out of listening to your intuition if it's telling you something. Another thing I could think of, like, if it's late at night, definitely park close to the doors. But try not to go out by yourself late at night. Try to go with multiple people, more than one, or a man. I'm trying to think of any more. I guess overall, just be very aware. Be very aware of your surroundings. Before you get out of your car, look around. Look around, survey the scene, make sure what's going on, before you just get out. Because a lot of times these guys that are snatching up women and girls, they'll park somewhere far away in the parking lot, and they'll just watch the parking lot to see if they can see someone that looks vulnerable. And I know that's what they did with me last Friday, because when I pulled up, the guy was just sitting in the car, and I know he was surveying the scene. And then when I got out, it was like, oh, bingo, there's a girl, she's by herself. I mean, the fact that I'm in my work uniform, clearly working for a school, I'm just thankful. And this isn't the first time I've asked a guy to walk me to my car, but it's the first time where it was like surreal. Like, it was very real and very close. Because I have a habit. If I don't feel safe, if I'm in a store and I notice somebody, they're in the same aisle as me, but all of a sudden when I go to the checkout, they don't have anything, that's suspicious to me. And that's when I'm like, I'm going to ask somebody to walk me to my car. Um, and I've done that a lot of times. And the interesting thing is, it's always white men that have walked me to my car. It's always white men that don't think twice about stepping in to protect me when I feel unsafe. And it's interesting. Something that I'm realizing is that white men are very brave. They are, because wow. I just realized it's always been white men to come walk me to my car and to reassure me that I will be okay. Now, with the exclusion of my family, I know if I'm like with somewhere with my brothers or my dad or my uncles or my cousins, I know I don't have anything to worry about. But random guys, I typically go ask like a tough looking white guy to walk me to my car. And he never said, I've never had someone to say no. I've never had someone to say, I don't know you. We aren't sleeping together. We're not married. I'm not going to protect you. I've never had a white or other non-black guy do that to me. And so I just make it a habit ask to ask them. But I mean, you could ask whoever you want. If you feel like they're safe, ask them. But just be very aware of your surroundings. Don't assume that you're going to get out your car and make it home, but just being carefree and not paying attention. Like, assume that wherever you go as a woman, there's somebody hoping that they can snatch you up to make money off of you. Assume that. Because when you assume that, you'll be more cautious. So, just for me, every time I go to a store or something, if I see a van, my antennas are up, way up, because I know vans are typically what's snatching up women and girls. And it's usually, so the van from last Friday, there was 2 guys in the front seat, 2 black guys. But I know there was more likely other guys. It's probably more likely maybe 2 or 3 guys in the back seats of the van waiting to snatch somebody up. So I'm just glad I made it home that day. But I am getting my permit this week, and I'm definitely going to buy a piece so that if in the event that someone runs up on me, even when I have a guy escorting me to my car, I will not think twice to eliminate the threat permanently. I will not, because I've been a victim of sexual abuse. I've been a victim of sexual assault, abduction, and that's not something I would want to experience on a daily basis. And so, as a woman, you have to do what you make it home by any means necessary. And for me, that situation just motivated me to get my permit and then get something to carry because of my permit. And I think I would encourage all women to do that. Get something. Mace, taser. You can get like a pellet gun. They sell those on Amazon, like a pellet gun. It looks like a gun, but it shoots out like pellets, not bullets. You don't need a permit to have those. Bear spray. I don't know. I'm not sure what else you can get. But yeah, invest in one of those things or all of them. And if you do get your permit to carry, take classes to learn how to, what's it called? To learn how to, to learn how to shoot. To shoot properly and to aim for the target and eliminate the threat permanently. So I hope I hope that you guys, when you watch this video, you take something from it. You incorporate all the things that I'm saying, and from now on, when you go out somewhere, if you're not with a large group of people, be very cautious. Well, you should be cautious anyway, because you never know. But just be very cautious where you go from now on, because it's some real sickos out here. And they would love to just snatch up women to make themselves rich. And I don't know. I think I'm going to make a second video about all the times that I feel like I was almost targeted for sex trafficking. And what I did in those situations. But I hope this video will help someone. I hope that you share this with your teenage girls or your small daughters. Well, I don't think small girls should be necessarily going places by themselves, but I mean some parents do. But I don't think we live in a time period where you can just send your little girl down the street to the corner store and not risk her not coming back. So yeah, so I'm going to make a part 2, and I'm going to insert all the vehicles that women should look out for when you go to stores or wherever you go. Vehicles that you should be on the alert for when you see them. Yeah, so I hope this video will save somebody. I really hope that those guys were not able to catch a woman by herself. But yeah, this was that situation was at a Target parking lot. So I really hope that this video will save a lot of women and girls.